because I think we need to build resilience in our kids and right from young as they are so that they understand that some things take time. So I used to hashtag her Instagramless wife.
Yeah.
And she was so well known.
famous.
And actually, people know her by that name than her real name.
They send their kids to learn piano, but if the kid grew up and they said, I want to be a musician, the Asian parent will go, no.
Yeah, we didn't send you to piano class to become a musician.
Hey, it's Dan and Charlie here, and this is the Young Cubs Parenting Podcast. We're parents of 2 little boys, figuring it out as we go, usually somewhere between the school run and the tube to work.
We're not experts by any means. We're just a couple of parents doing our best on Struggle Street, but we have loved every minute of it, and we want to get better at it. So we'll be talking to some good friends about parenting, faith, life, and the culture we're raising our kids in.
In every episode, we're going to be having honest conversations with people who've walked this path before or are walking it right now, sharing real stories, honest reflections, and the kind of wisdom you only get from doing the parenting thing day in and day out.
So whether you're in the chaos, the calm, or somewhere in between, join us on the journey. Subscribe to the Young Cubs channels, and remember, no perfect parents allowed.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Young Cubs Parenting Podcast. I'm Charlie and this is Dan. It's 2026. It's the first episode of the year. Just want to say a big happy new year to you guys. We hope you had a great Christmas and we're excited for the parenting journey ahead this year with you.
So in this episode, we're not going to look at New Year's resolutions. We're going to look at some rhythms, some routines that are going to help us and hopefully help you as well. Today, we're joined by Kevin and Esther Liu. Thank you guys for joining us.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are role models to us. Like, you know, they talk about influences in the wild. And I know there's a lot of people creating a lot of content on parenting, but we've got to know you and you guys are role models to us. And so thank you for, number one, just your friendship. You guys are pastors in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. You guys are parents, but you also create a lot of content to help people in the areas of relationship, marriage, parenting. So we've got a lot of questions for you. Like, I want to find out about parenting in the East compared to the West. Lots of questions for you. But before we get into it, Charlie's got some quick fire questions.
Yes, in every episode, we always like to kick off with some
Let's
off
do
the
this.
cuff, quick fire questions. First thing that comes into your mind, guys. Okay, who's the fun parent and who's the rules parent?
Ooh.
Fun.
Okay.
Rules.
I'm glad that you both know your roles and responsibilities there. Who's more likely to forget a school event or parent-teacher meeting?
Me.
What's the funniest parenting fail you've ever had so far?
Okay, this has got to be me. So a couple of years back, we were in Bali and we were trying to teach our younger son how to ride a bicycle. And I was already holding him and he just refused to cycle. I got so mad. I kept yelling at him. And in 10 minutes, I'm not kidding, he learned how to cycle.
There we go.
But the process was horrible.
So really, it wasn't
horrible.
a fail. It was a huge win then.
It's
The
a
result,
fail.
the result is a win, but the process was horrible.
Yeah.
I just didn't like myself.
Yeah.
Thinking about she just kept scolding me after that. I was like,
So it was a fail.
it was a fail. But he learned how to cycle in 10
5 minutes.
Yeah, it
10
took my son like 10 months. So, you know.
Not quite. Or not. Shaming him on TV.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go with you first, Esther. If your kids were to describe you in 3 words, what 3 words do you think that they would use?
Serious.
Okay.
Wow.
Pressure.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Understanding.
Okay. What about you, Kevin?
Fun,
Okay.
creative, and do everything impromptu.
Love that.
Okay.
That'll be me.
Quick.
Great.
Yeah.
You both know those. Okay. What would you say?
Yeah,
That was
what-
so quick, guys. What would you
Yeah.
say?
What?
If
Out of us?
Yeah.
Yeah,
if-
yeah.
if
What would you
I
say?
Okay,
Yeah.
well, to explain it to you.
What? Ask me to
The
describe me.
same question.
3
you
words.
just
3
give
words.
whilst you're talking about it.
I mean, I was having a little side conversation in my head while we were answering the conversation.
I just think that was so good, guys.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I
good.
think you're the fun parent.
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
Charlie often
guys,
will have them
yeah.
like dancing around the room
Yeah.
and having fun. So I'm more of the strict one.
Ooh.
But they've definitely made me more fun.
It's true. I've made you more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one. What's one phrase you think your kids will always remember you saying?
Don't give up.
Oh, I
Love that.
why? I always start with, like, when I'm upset with them, why did you do that?
There we go.
I
It's a
think
good question
that's
to
what-
have in
yeah.
life, I think.
Yeah. I like
It
that.
is. Our kids will know we will never let them give up
On anything.
on anything. until they've tried hard enough.
Wow.
Yeah, never give up. I like that.
But I'm not sure whether it's good sometimes. So they cannot give up on anything. So they don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know when
Okay.
to
So
stop.
sometimes you have to tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Because there's some things that are impossible, right? So then would you just say, okay, you can give up on that, or
Sack it off now, guys.
I think seasonal, like certain things we know, okay, like for my firstborn, I had a dream to be a soccer mom.
right?
So I sent him for soccer school, soccer clubs, soccer prac, as young as 3.
Okay.
By 9, I realized, okay, he's not gonna make it.
Yeah,
Okay, we can give up now.
You can give up now.
You can give up now.
Okay.
Yeah.
no. The funny thing was we have been sending him to all these sports that used to feed, right? And then he came home with the first medal from school, and it was basketball.
Yeah, and we were shocked.
Like
Yeah.
Oh, okay, no, wait.
basketball.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
yeah.
So since then he learned volleyball,
Okay.
and he basically and then he started rock climbing.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's-
I think
We
our kids
discover-
are similar. Like our kids love basketball and rock climbing,
Yeah, they do.
and they're not into football at all.
Yeah, I've been trying to push them into footballers for a long time, but it's just not happening either. My dreams of being a football mum. are gone
Yeah,
as
like a
well.
soccer mom.
Yeah.
But that's a good parenting skill, isn't it? To like, obviously, in terms of like living your life, you want them to keep going and not give up. But then there's some things that they're maybe like just not gifted at and they don't enjoy. Then to allow that,
yeah,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. But there are certain things that are uncompromisable. First one is faith. So obviously never give up. Secondly is language. They need to learn a variety of languages. To
Wow.
me, it's very important. Number 3 is piano.
Okay.
I don't care you hate piano. You
Okay.
practice, even if you're crying, you finish crying, you're done, continue.
I'm gonna do
Three
your
things.
question. I'm gonna do your question back to you. Why? Why piano?
Piano because it develops the right side of your brain, the creative side of you. You learn patterns, you learn repetition, and you learn discipline.
Okay.
You learn to sit down for a prolonged period, and to learn that to actually become good at it, you probably need like 10 years before you can finally just play. So we experimented that with our first one. He's 18 now, and there were days he just go to his room. He hated piano growing up, and they used to fight.
Oh, we had the worst of times
Right.
during piano prac. We would
Okay.
throw books at each other because
I
we're so
have never
mad.
seen my wife upset like that. And it was during piano practices. So if I just walk past them, I'm like in the crossfire. I'll get it too. I'll tell her, I'll just calm her down and say, look, I'm not involved, okay? I just walking past. But now when he's down, he's tired, he would just go to the piano and he would just play.
Wow.
And he can even write songs. So yeah,
So he's
Prove it.
glad.
So you both play piano.
I do
I don't.
Okay. And you were the teacher. You taught your son.
for practice. I
Okay.
send him out for
school?
Okay.
piano schools.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like my quickfire questions have gone very deep. This is great. They are not quickfire anymore. We are learning so much already. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just us, just how we operate, and yeah,
So-
language is important. Of
So I guess my question would be: so your son now is happy that you guys persevered with, piano practice.
Yeah.
yeah.
He is.
Oh,
yeah.
very.
Okay. Yeah. And I was the same growing up. Like my dad was like, never give up. If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
Yes.
Well, I was with my stepdad, like stacking hay. He was a farmer, so I'd be stacking hay every summer, and my hands would be like blistered. And he'd be like, "Never give up. We're doing this." And with my dad, and we're doing football or doing whatever. It's like never give up. And there would be times when I so desperately wanted to give up, and I had nothing left in me. But both of them were like, "Never give up." And I'm actually so grateful for that now because I feel like it built a character in me, which has enabled me to never give up on my wife, never give up on my kids, never give up in my career, never give up in lots of areas. But it's hard in the moment, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, because I think we need to build resilience
Yeah.
in our kids, and right from young as they are, so that they understand that some things take time to grow.
Yeah.
So not everything is instant. And he wrote a song recently, and I spent some money, rented a studio, and shot a video.
Wow.
So
great.
it will come out at some point.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
he's happy.
Forward to that.
He's happy. Yeah.
That's really cool. And for his younger brother, Alexander, who's 9 now, again, that's so cool that he's got an older brother role model like that, kind of, you know, he's kind of found what he's good at, found what he enjoys,
Yeah.
and he's not giving up doing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's scary for him.
Yeah.
Because I think the first son, he's got no point of reference, so everything is him.
Yeah.
The younger brother is like horrified. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
got to do this. I got to do this. Yep.
Yeah.
No choice.
Yeah. Oh, we should talk about that later. I'd love
Yeah.
to talk about those sibling dynamics and
Uh-huh.
how that impacts. So you guys create content to help people in the area of relationships, marriage, parenting. I guess if you had to go back to when you started creating content, like, you know, let's keep going with that theme of why. You know, why did you guys do that?
I started my Instagram account year 2020 in March. I remember it so clearly because it is during the lockdown when the world went on a lockdown. It was the time I started my Instagram account. So when I first got into Instagram, I was a late user. So I didn't know what people really post on it. I know they post about food, travels,
Right.
their kids, right, things they want to brag about. So I was lost for a couple of months. And one day I told myself, okay, if I were to post something on Instagram, what would be meaningful? And I thought, all right, the last 20 years, the thing that I've spent the most time investing in is probably my marriage. So I said, that would be easy. I would just post about my marriage every single day. I'll tell one story, I'll tell a mistake, a lesson, whatever it is. That is how I started creating content. And I didn't really intend to be a content creator. I just wanted to make my Instagram account meaningful. So that began the journey where people realize the stories I tell, the lessons I teach them, it's so relatable. And it's cross-cultural. It's not just for Asians. People around the world started following me and asking me questions. So that is how I started my Instagram journey
Okay.
to be a content creator.
And so
love
you
that.
realized quite quickly it was a need. Like people were
Yeah.
like kind of craving content.
Yeah.
like
And
this to
people were
help
going
them.
crazy with each other at home during the lockdown.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Couples were fighting and they were hating each other. So that content came at the right time,
Okay.
kind of spoke to them on how they could resolve some of the conflicts they were having.
Esther was known as, because she didn't have an Instagram
Yeah.
account, she really hated us like updating Instagram, checking all the time. So she never had one. So I used to hashtag her Instagramless wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was
Alright.
so well
I became
known.
famous.
And actually, people know her by that name
Yeah.
than her real name. So when she had to start an Instagram, she was struggling like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to give up that
Yeah.
hashtag.
Okay.
And now she's doing this. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, we always love to ask kind of our guests that come on the episodes just about the highs and lows of parenting. I think Instagram, that's a great example. You often just see the highs, right? Like the highlights. I mean, I feel like I just post about my kids and I don't post the lowlights with my kids. I post the highlights. and
Yeah. I mean,
what's
you're not
going-
going to get the camera out while the kid's screaming, right? You know.
No, exactly.
No. Yeah.
So I guess I would love to know from your point of view, for you both, like what do you love about parenting? What are those kind of highlights for you? What do you love about being parents? But also what do you find your biggest struggles are when it comes to parenting?
For me, I think the highlights for parenting is discovering the characters of your kids.
Okay.
Right? We have two. And the first one was, if we only have one child, first one was so easy. He was so obedient. When we go speaking at conferences, he will sit on the front row. He will have a book and he will read the entire time. He's like an angel. Like, but we have to discover what he likes. So as parents, our strategy was to allow him to try as many things as possible and then let him streamline to what he really likes. So that was our strategy. Except for faith, language, and piano.
Okay.
That's non-negotiable,
It's
right?
non-negotiable.
Yeah, the non-negotiable.
Yeah. And then when we have a second one, we discovered that the same practice that we did was not effective anymore because our friend there, it just doesn't work the same.
Okay.
So it was interesting for us to discover, like, when you have one child, you don't know how to love another child. And then when another child comes along, it just opens up an area in your heart that you never realized was there to love them differently. So to me, those are the highs.
With parenting, when we first became parents, we had this conversation we said, I guess now that we have a child, it really teaches us to be selfless. Because before this, you think of yourself. If I want to sleep, I sleep. If I want to eat, I eat. If I want to go out, I go out. After we had our firstborn, we realized we couldn't do that anymore. And you're constantly thinking about this other person. And we begin to think of this other new human being as someone as equally important as ourselves. But along the way, one of those lows I would say is, I think for moms tend to lose themselves along the way when the child becomes like the huge priority. So as a young mom, he traveled a lot. So I was with my son a lot, just two of us. So he became my world, I became his world.
Okay.
So we connected in that way. And a lot of times when I was pressuring him to do this, to do that, to be this, to be that, I think he didn't know how to tell me, but as he entered his teenage years, that is when it started to show some of his resentment towards me as a mom. Maybe I was too pressurizing. I was having all these high hopes, high expectations towards him. And when he was younger, he couldn't communicate it. In his teenage years, it came out as tantrums, right? Or dissatisfaction. And I had to learn that the hard way as a mom. So the lows, definitely the hardest thing as a parent is when you're dealing with the teenage years, because you have to talk about values. You have to teach them, what's important, what's right. And now they have a voice. They will argue with you. They will disagree. They won't just take in everything that you tell them. So it was an adjustment for me as a parent. Yeah. So with my second child, they're 9 years apart. I get to really be a different parent.
That's awesome.
With my second one.
So you would say you actually parented differently?
Yeah, totally
wow.
different.
That's interesting. Okay, from the lessons that you've learned from.
Yeah, because they're 9 years apart, so
you had that
it gave
time.
me a long time to learn.
I love
It
that.
felt like we had two single child.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
That's probably
It's
a
really
nice way of doing it, like that. First of all, I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability and honesty. I know sometimes I chat to parents and like the last thing they're ever going to do is admit some things that, they would have changed or could do better. But thank you for that. It's really encouraging. I love Asian culture. I love the people. I love the food. And
Thank you.
and I think, typically, we think, the West influences the East, but actually I'm seeing a lot more right now of the East influencing the West. And I think that's a really good, healthy thing.
Yeah.
What are some of the things when it comes to parenting, in the East, which you think would encourage parents in the West that we could learn from? And then maybe what are some things that you've seen in the West which you think, could be good things for, parents in the East to learn from?
Okay. I think, firstly, that in the East, we are more dictatorial in the early days of their lives. We kind of like preset a lot of things because we believe that we know more than them at that age. So we won't give them that much liberty. So we will hone in on a lot of the basics, a lot of the foundation to make sure that they understand the different aspects of life, which I think in the West is so different because they get to choose and decide whatever they want, which I think it's quite scary, right? I wouldn't want my parents to let me decide whatever I want when I was younger. So we set the foundation for them. And then when they grow up, we let them be free and do whatever they want. So that's the one part. The downside of Asian parenting is that we don't express our emotion that much to our kids. Lesser now, more so the previous generation. Like I hardly remember any moment my dad or my mom telling me that they love me. But they never stop loving us because the way they express their love is providing for us. Right? And they're making sure that we're okay all the time. So, but in the West, I realized that parents and the children, they can say, I love you. They can say, I'm sorry. They can disagree. And they're still like really close. So that's something that we adopted in our parenting. So I'll just kiss my boy in public, even when he's 18. And he knows. And I know he doesn't like it. And it's not cool anymore. So yeah, but we try to marry, and we have the privilege of seeing two different cultures. So we try to marry them in our parenting style so that I'm very conscious as a dad that I don't have them with me forever. And already we have the first kind of like a separation. He's 18.
Yeah.
I dread that day for a long time, right? So I make sure the priority is always with my son, my two sons, of course, my family. There was a season in my life, I was invited to speak, left, right, center. I was traveling from one place to another, and I was flying, I was staying in a nice hotel. I was, given good food, and I would speak, and people would host me, and I'm like a hero every day. And then my son was growing up, and I was so afraid one day that I missed him taking his first step, and I don't want him to not be able to, the dad never, he never heard a bedtime story from his father. But dads are like that. We want to do well. We want to earn money so that we can provide for them, but at a cost of our kids not seeing us. So there was one night, I just decided to say, God, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to cut down on all this traveling, and I'll just be at home. So I started reading to him every night, praying with him, and just being with him as much as I could to lay the foundation so that when he's 18 now, he will have enough to take him for the rest of his life. So,
the thing the Western culture got to realize about Asian parenting is this. Asian parents, all they do in their parenting journey is to set the child up for success.
Right.
Whatever it takes in their mind, right? So in an Asian culture, what is success? You have wealth, you have good health, you're good in relationships. Basically, you're good in everything and an achiever. So that never give up culture is rampant, right? In the among the Asian parents. So with that, you're raising a high achiever. You're also grooming them to bury their negative emotions.
Right.
Hence, we're not affectionate with each other because there's this, I think this white elephant or this silent thing going on where in order to not give up, you cannot let your emotions control you. So we don't let out emotions.
Right.
We get through it, whether we like it or
wow,
not.
that's so deep. I never hear you say this before.
We get through it. So Asian parents would dictate, like what he said, a lot of things. We want discipline in our kids, so we send them for piano class. A lot of Asian kids, they learn piano. It's normal, right? Piano classes are filled up everywhere. We want to groom the sportsmanship. We send them for sports like tennis, right? To play, to go for badminton, so that you get the discipline of being a sportsman. And you go for a lot of tuition classes so that you're good in your academics. So everything is set up for them so that they have no chance to not succeed.
Okay.
So that is the Asian parenting.
Okay.
With that, it will lack creativity because there's no room to explore.
Right.
It is decided for them, like what university you should go to in the UK or in the US or in Australia. What schools parents will send their kids to so that they get the right connections, so that they build the relationship with the people that they need to do business with when they grow up. So every Asian parent, that's what they talk about, right? In the Asian culture. But with the Western culture, with art, an Asian parent would think, don't invest in art because you might not make money, right? As an artist, or what are you going to do? They send their kids to learn piano, but if the kid grew up and they said, I want to be a musician, the Asian parent will go, no.
Yeah, we didn't send you to piano class to become a musician.
Right, okay. It's for discipline.
It's
just so interesting.
That's it.
Okay.
You do business to become wealthy.
Okay.
Or you have to own a piano school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that would be the right trajectory of your life.
How do you get, this is so interesting. How do you get the balance right then? Because you're right. Like, and this must be a Western thing then. Like, well, or me, or you, I don't know. Like, so if I don't want Knox or Nico to do things that they don't enjoy or they don't want to do. Let's take football as an example. You know, I know in the UK, right, that football is the most social sport. And when you go through school, when you go into secondary school, everyone's playing football. And so if you don't play football and you can't play football, this plays on my mind. It's like, well, this is what they do at playtime, Knox. So like, you need to like football because Otherwise, when it comes to secondary school, you know, that's what they do for fun. They go to the park, they kick a ball. In break times, they kick a ball, and he doesn't like it. And so then I'm like, okay, well, if he doesn't like it, I don't want to force him to do something that he doesn't like. So don't do it. But there's a lot of things that you discover your kids don't like. So then it's like, well, what are you going to kind of do? Like, where is that balance then of giving them the creative freedom to decide to do what they like and what they don't like? And actually, where is the balance of, no, I'm actually going to kind of encourage you / make you do that because I believe that is what is best for you. Like, how do you get that balance right?
There's no balance, Charlie.
Yeah.
They don't get. They
Help
don't.
me.
They don't get that at all in Asian parenting. Okay.
You're saying they don't get balance?
They don't.
Oh, okay.
They don't.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
Right.
no balance.
So the both of us are an enigma.
Right.
I'm an artist. I don't follow any scheme of, you know, what an Asian child should grow up like. I finished high school and I didn't do my college.
Okay.
I went to work in the church. I took a gap year and I came to England. No, sorry. After high school, I worked in the church. I took a gap year. Okay. After 1 year with the church, I did my A-levels. And then after that, my mom said, okay, my son's finally settled down. He's done his A-levels because I was going to read law. And I was supposed to apply for law school. And I told my mom, nope, I'm taking another gap year. I'm going to go to England for 1 year. So I really don't fit into the mold. So we have, in the two of us, like this constant clash and trying to make things work because she thinks, you know, the organized Asian parenting style works. And I love my kids to have the freedom to explore and love what you do and do what you love. It's just, nope, you do what I tell you first before you get to do what you love to do. So I don't think in the Asian culture there are many that get that balance.
The first 10 years of parenting, I think it's really important to help your child discover the different talents, right, or the different disciplines that you could expose them to as much as you can. And once they figure out their footing, they kind of know, oh, I'm good with my legs, I could do soccer, or I'm good with my hands, I could play badminton or do ballerina, or then when they can start making decisions for themselves on what they really like, what they're passionate with and why, I think they would flourish much faster because of the basic skills they've had in the first 10 years, right? With their skills with their hands, with their legs, with their mind. As much as you can, when you expose them to all these different things, you give them a higher chance in discovering their passion.
Okay.
Versus, oh, just do whatever you like. Most kids, they probably would just do what their friends like, or they do the thing that would be the easiest, that would not cost them anything.
Okay.
And they would pick those things.
Yep.
But if you don't teach them, hey, you know, hard work comes with doing the same thing again and again and again and again, they will never learn that when they grow up because they've always had it easy. Right. So that has been my mindset. And it was a constant struggle between us.
Yeah. But I think for us, even for us, like 10 years, right? Until such point where they can make their own decision, it's already very different in an Asian culture because Asian parents will go all the way to, we want you to study in this university because this is where we all studied and this is the business. This is our family inheritance. You got to continue this and that. So we kind of like, we stopped up to the point where we think now you're ready to make your own decision.
Okay.
And I think that would be the balance that we are trying to find in our family. But I think if we take one step back, it's intrinsic in, when we say Asian culture, we are really just referring to the Chinese culture because we're Chinese. So it's not representative of all the other Asians.
Yeah.
The Chinese culture, the intrinsic thing about us, it's the need for survival. You see, values are, there's one value that you learn, but the scary thing is there are values that you inherited from your great-grandparents that you never met.
Right.
So in every Chinese, there's an ability to save money, to make money. We just know how to do it. Nobody has to teach us.
Okay.
We just, because the intrinsic need for survival is so deeply embedded in our culture. So it's just it.
We definitely don't have that. We know how to spend money and get into debt. When you look at sort of like, let's just say the Eastern parenting style or the Western or Chinese or UK, if you're going to say which one raises healthier kids emotionally, mentally, which one would you say?
I think, okay, the strength of the Asian culture, I think it's the ability to raise a large number of people that are compliant to reach a certain standard. Yeah. But in the Western culture, because it is so free and, so liberal, you will get outliers because they have to discover themselves for themselves. So for example, all of us probably become very corporate, but you will find very rare any one of us will become that founder of a big company, a leader, an authority in the research. So in terms of healthier, I think for Asians, in our context, if you're not doing well, it's very hard to be happy.
Right.
Right.
I think.
Okay.
Right. And of course, that wealth, it's subjective. But there's a certain estimate or projection that you should actually maintain. Otherwise, you are not seen as doing well.
In terms of living out a life that truly reflects who you are, the Western culture does it way better. Because for Asians or the Eastern culture is dictated for them, or what they see in the society, what's expected of them. A lot of them get into their 40s or 50s and they go through midlife crisis the hard way when they start thinking, is this it? Is this who I am? Is this what I'm meant to do? What's my purpose? And when they start to discover that path, some of them get lost along the way because they have been groomed the same way.
Yeah.
In that culture, everybody tells them this is it. And they get to the 50-year mark and realize, how come I'm not happy? But they'll still go on because, you know what? They are groomed to not give up.
Right.
So they'll just live with unhappiness. But with the Western culture, they ask some of these questions as young as they are in their 20s, 30s, right? To explore. So if you can learn some of these benefits from the different cultures and adapt it to your own parenting journey, that would be brilliant. Because you will raise a very resilient yet creative and innovative kid.
Yeah, I love that.
That's ready for the future. The future is going to be so different from where we come from.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. Guys, I want to kind of move on a little bit to relationships because I know that you put out a lot of content which has really helped us in regards to kind of if you're struggling in your relationship, if you're having communication issues. I know you do a lot around conflict resolution. So just want to tap into that a little bit more now. I guess the first thing I'd love to ask is, what would you say to the person watching? What one bit of advice, let's just start there, would you give to the person that's watching and they're struggling? Whether that's because they're exhausted, whether it's that they feel like they're, I don't know, roommates with their partner, whatever that looks like, what would you say, what would be your one bit of advice that you would offer first, I guess, to that couple that relationship, they're struggling?
It only takes one to transform a relationship. That is what I always tell a struggling couple, because what you read on social media, what you see out there, what you learn from YouTube, they say it takes two to tango, right? Two hands to clap. So they come with that mindset, to deal with a conflict, my partner got to be doing this work together with me. But in the last 5 years of coaching couples, I realized most of those struggling marriages, there's only that one partner who's willing to work on it.
Right.
So what happens to them, right? Is it a dead marriage? Is it doom? Are they going to fail? So when I started working on that one individual instead of a couple, I realized it really takes one to transform a relationship. Because if you see a relationship like a system, if one part of the system starts changing, the rest of the parts of the system can no longer remain the same. So if you are constantly having conflict, right, or in a roommate season, or you just don't see eye to eye in a lot of things, if I show up as a different person, I work on myself, I build healthy emotions, I regulate myself, and I pour positivity, I pour life into my marriage, at some point, it cannot remain the same.
Right.
Right. So that is the basis of how I would tell somebody to give them hope that as long as you keep strengthening yourself, finding places where you could talk to different people, get help, even if your partner is so difficult and they're unwilling to do anything about it, if you believe in building a healthy marriage again, or maybe marriage 2.0, it starts with you, because your partner could be so hurt, or maybe they're not focused on growth, they are slacking, whatever it is, they might need somebody to start changing so that they have something else to build on top of, right? And that person would be the person who wants a better marriage, a better relationship. So it starts with that.
Okay.
One
so your
individual.
first bit of advice would be work on yourself, kind of like that whole taking ownership for your part
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
If I'm unhealthy and I go into the relationship wanting to resolve a conflict, it's going to be very complicated, because I would enter that conflict expecting him to change, expecting him to do something different, expecting him to meet my needs, expecting him to meet those empty spots that I don't even know what's going on. It is hard because he has his issues, he's going through his stuff. But if that individual learn to take ownership of their own life, they have a higher chance of building a happier and healthier relationship.
So in terms of conflict resolution, obviously there's lots of different styles. I would say we're wired very differently. Charlie would say that I'm like passive aggressive, where like I am calm, but yeah, I can really like cut deep with words.
Whilst just remaining very chill and calm. Everyone
Yeah.
thinks Dan is the most like chill, calm. Oh, Dan, he's so relaxed. But I'm always saying like, yeah, but if you annoy him
I am
or
like,
you get on the wrong side of him at home, he's like, his words, they
Yeah, and I've really learned like just to always kind of like make sure I'm not hurting the person I love the most more than anybody else. And it's that whole thing of being in a safe space. You know she's not going to leave you, so therefore you feel like you can speak in a way. And so I've really learned to make sure I do not take license in that, and you learn to control my words. But in terms of like the temperature of the words, so if I'm passive aggressive, Charlie is actually aggressive. Like
not physically.
No, not physically, but she will like shout. And I'm noticing like our boys shout as well. And so I'm like, oh, do we want to be in a house which is a shouty house, or do we want calm? Personally, I want calm. But is it okay to have conflict resolution like through like raising voices?
Help us.
We're constantly ironing out our parenting styles. Like, I'm a passive aggressive like you. I will stay quiet, but brutal.
Yeah.
Right.
But he will be vocal, right? He would be scolding, or he doesn't really yell. But we learn to play to the best of our ability. Like, he's someone, he can be calm and he'll speak with a stern voice, and the boys would just keep quiet.
Okay.
I would say it again, second time, third, 10 times, 20 times. They would never hear me until I raise my voice or I lose myself.
Yeah.
So we have to help each other, right? I know if I continue on like that, I'm going to create a really chaotic home. So I would talk to him, hey, can you help me speak to the boys, right, in terms of this? So we're constantly talking about how we need to discipline our kid, what's important, what's allowed, what's not allowed, how should we raise them with the values that really matters to us. So we're still ironing that out, right? But it takes communication, being open. If you're willing to be flexible in understanding, hey, maybe there might be truth to it. Maybe there might be some benefit to the other style of parenting, and not be so closed off and rigid. That would be the key to learning how to parent well together.
Yeah. I never saw my parents yell at each other growing up. I think they locked themselves in the room and then they will fight it out.
Right.
So even though I'm vocal, I think, well, I like to think that I'm passive aggressive too.
Right.
But she doesn't think so. Because probably when I'm at home, there'll be a lot of moments I could raise my voice, but I choose not to because I don't like the after effects of it. So my way of conflict resolution is talk about difficult things on a good day. So it's not well received by a lot of people because then they will ask me, then you will spoil the good day if it goes
Yeah.
south.
Hanging up.
I say no, because at least I know I'm not emotionally charged
good.
about the matter. So when we're driving in a car, we're happy, I would just revisit that. I say, hey, that day, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have reacted in that manner. And I'll always start with, I'm sorry. It doesn't mean I'm always wrong, but it's a good way to enter into, it's a step to enter into conflict resolution. And then she will speak better. No, I shouldn't have started it first. And it kind of like help us talk better. So that's really my style. I like to talk about difficult things on a good day, like we're having a meal, we're shopping, like on a long trip, in the plane. It's good to talk about it. Yeah.
So that sounds like that would be like your kind of top tip with conflict resolution. Just very briefly, like what would be your kind of when it comes to conflict resolution? Because I really like that. Like do it when you're, you know, not in the emotional mess of it all kind of thing. What would be your kind of
Creating space to process what just went on. I'm someone like that. In that moment, I get flooded. Right? I might be passive aggressive, but I'm actually very flooded. And if I choose to argue or say something, usually it doesn't turn out well. I realize I'm someone who tends to avoid conflict at all costs, but that can be a bad thing because I don't end up resolving the conflict. So it's that constant struggle. But space is a key to people who tend to avoid conflict and don't really do well with situations where it's quite tense. You need space to just deal with some of the emotions and to process through your thoughts on what just happened. What do I actually need? And I struggle to answer that question when I'm flooded. But when I've calmed myself down, given myself maybe a 10-minute break, I can then process better and answer, okay, maybe at that point, I really needed attention from this person. Or I needed help, I needed support. And then I'll go back and communicate it with the person.
Love that. So good. Let's, I guess, conclude the podcast just by talking about faith. You know, I mean, you guys are pastors, and so faith has had a huge impact on your own lives and then raising the kids. Now, in the three things that you said are non-negotiable with your kids, there was piano, language,
and faith.
And faith. So if it's a non-negotiable, does that mean like they have to follow Jesus or God, or like is there a decision for them? What does it look like?
Ooh, that's, well, essentially the concept is there, but because we are pastors, so it's very difficult for our kids to, I'm very, very careful that they don't go to church because they are expected to.
Right.
To really find that balance of they go to church because they want to. And so growing up, my method is to introduce Christ into their lives, in every decision, how we serve, how we give our life to Jesus, how we work and everything, so that through that they may discover, wow, my parents would give so much of who they are to God. How should it affect their lives? And so I try not to pressure them. So faith would be a lot on role modeling, allowing them to experience God for themselves. And I give him ample space to not just force him to church. And and talk to him about, of course, we always talk about values and our belief system. So it's true that I believe. So actually now is a test, right? He's away from home, whether he will go to church. I will know whether my method work. Otherwise, plan B with the second one, we will do totally different thing altogether. Yeah.
And Esther, how would you say that your faith shapes your parenting?
The anchor in something divine, right? Like God, I think it really helped me, especially in the early years as a mom. Like, because I don't feel confident that I'm the best mom or I know how to raise this boy the best that I could. I learned to trust God to lead the way. And in many instances of my life, I've seen how God open doors, come through for me, be there for me in my darkest days as a mom. And without God, I don't think I can be a secure mom to my child. Right? Because I had so many worries. I was constantly worrying about the future of my child. Is he going to be okay? Is he not going to be okay? But learning to talk to God and finding strength in that, it really helped me through my journey as a parent.
That's great. Guys, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege having you guys on here. And I know this conversation would have blessed so many people, and the wisdom that you've shared, I know has really helped us. I feel like it's been therapy.
For us.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's been great. So I'm definitely going to rein in my shouting, I think. Create a bit more calm, and you're going to rein in your passive aggressiveness. Yeah, just naming that here. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time.
Honor.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are incredible, and I know this will bless so many people. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining it. If it's helped you like it's helped and challenged us, please do share it with other parents and subscribe to the channel. We're also across social media, Young Cubs Parenting. So join us on the journey for 2026 and beyond.